Thanks for tuning in. I'm Chris with Chris's Tech Tips. Today we've got this 2009 KX450. This thing is super clean, super sweet, except we've got some hard starting issues. So let's get into that. As you can see here, this baby just does not want to fire. I give it my all, at least 20 or 30 tries. I got it to pop once or twice, but no go. Alright, next step, let's go ahead and remove the seat. Go ahead and remove the gas tank, get the valve cover out of the way, and we'll go ahead and inspect the valves. Want to check these clearances. I think it's got a couple tight intake valves, or maybe just one. Right here you can see I just slid the tank back, that way I can reach in there, disconnect the fuel line and the fuel pump. There we go. Another thing I like to do on all these fuel injected models is just go ahead and run a fuel pump pressure test. Right here you can see I just hooked it up to a 12 volt power source, and you can see it's pressured up nicely. It's pretty easy and it eliminates the possibility of low fuel pressure. Now we'll just go ahead and pull the spark plug cap and remove the valve cover assembly. Just a 4mm Allen key. Just 3 bolts. Get that out of the way. Right here I'm just rotating the crankshaft and I'm aligning the 2 dots on the intake and the exhaust cam. And right here I'm just double checking, making sure both cam lobes are up and facing outward. I'm just going to go ahead and grab my feeler gauges and we're going to see what we got. Yep, looks like that left intake is tight. Now on this particular model, 2009 KX450, the intake valve lash is 0.10 to 0.105 millimeters on the intakes. So right here what I'm doing is I'm going a little bit smaller than 0.10 just to try to get a guess on how small a shim I need to drop to. Right here I always take a paint marker and go ahead and mark the cam chain against the cam chain sprockets, both the intake and the exhaust. That way, if I do take the cam chain off, I can still line it up with the correct teeth on both intake and exhaust cam sprockets. When I release the cam chain tensioner here, I'm going to go ahead and pull the cam cap off, and just in case the cam chain slips off, I can quickly realign the cam chain on without having to count teeth or anything like that. Next up, let's go ahead and remove the cam cap. It has 8 8mm socket headed bolts, and it's actually numbered right on top of the cam cap. That way you can remove them and install in that particular order. Okay, let's go ahead and remove the cam cap or cam bridge, and you want to be careful. It's kind of finicky. It's a tight fit. You don't want to use a screwdriver or anything to pry. You just kind of want to wiggle it up from the front to back. Right here you can see it's held together between those 2 brass tubes. Special Kawasaki design. That's how they feed oil from one side to the other. And you've got both your half moon washers for your intake and exhaust cams. Make sure you do not lose those or drop them down the cam chain side. Now right here you can see I'm rotating the intake cam in a position where it's not removed from the cam chain, and I'm taking a magnet and I'm able to access or remove the intake buckets. Now once I've got the valve shim buckets removed, the shims actually come out with them. I go ahead and wipe the shims off, take my dial calipers, go ahead and mic those and see which size they are. What I like to do is put them in the dial caliper and kind of rotate the shim around because they do get flat spots. This will give you an even measurement. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my hot cam shim selection here. Grab the desired shim. And I always double check, remeasure, make sure I've grabbed the correct shim. Then I will take my selected shim, set it right over top of the valve, and make sure they're set nice and flat. Now we'll go ahead and put the buckets back in place after we've selected our shims. Now you can see I just rotate the intake cam into place. Go ahead and reinstall your half moon washers. Now we'll go ahead and install the cam cap, and don't forget that O-ring right there. There's actually a recessed portion on the head that fits in. And note, when installing that cam bridge, you might have to slide the intake and exhaust cam side to side to line up with the groove for the half moon washer that I was referring to before. Right here I'm just doing a quick dirty check. I put a little pressure on the cam bridge just to make sure my measurements are fairly close. Now I'll go ahead and run these bolts down snug, not super tight, and also I'm tightening in the order they're numbered on top of the bridge. That way you don't get any kinks or binds in that cam bridge. And always remember to refer to your service manual for the proper torque spec. Now after everything's tight, we'll do our last final check, and they look great. Make sure you leave me some comments on this and anything you would like to see in the future. Watch as I remove the cam chain tensioner. Bam! The chain tightens like a piano string. Now we'll grab our torque wrench, and you'll want to make sure to refer to your owner's manual for your particular model to get your torque specs. But on this one, 2009 KX450, it is 10 Newton meters or 89 inch-pounds. And once again, we're getting photobombed by my dog Dosha. She's a good girl. Next up, we'll go ahead and install the valve cover. Now you want to take your time installing this. Make sure you don't pinch the gasket or anything. And it's just a 4mm hex bolt. Now we'll just snug that down. Next up, I like to apply a thin layer of grease to the spark plug cap. This just improves water resistance and ease of install and uninstalling the cap. Now right here, upon disassembly, there is a little rubber mount holding the gas tank. Actually fell off, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. I've got some double back tape. I'm going to go ahead and reapply to the surface here and reinstall that rubber mount just for a nice clean finish. Alright, let's get this fuel tank installed. We'll go ahead and rest it right there so I can install the fuel pump and the fuel line. Then we'll go ahead and install that back strap. Oh, photobombed again by Dosha Dog. Yep, still record. That's good to know. I always put the center bolt in on the gas tank. That way it kind of centers it. And then I'll go from left to right, and then I'll do that back strap last. It just lines up the bolts, and everything seems to fit better that way. Back strap last. Go ahead and put the seat on. We'll get ready for a test fire. Last but not least, the fuel vent line. We're good to go. Okay, now that we've completed proper adjustment of the valve clearances and checked the fuel pump pressure on this particular model is 43 psi, which we had I think 45, so we're good. Let's go ahead and give it a try and see how easy this thing starts. Woohoo! So as you can see, 3-4 kicks, we hit it out of the park. This baby starts right up. This is a super clean bike. A good buddy of mine takes really good care of this thing. I noticed there is quite a bit of adjustment in the valves. We had to drop the shims from a 242 to a 215. I would definitely ride it. I think it'll start and run great. the next time this happens, it becomes hard starting again. Those valves are actually starting to pull out. So I would recommend, probably even this winter, I'd recommend to Trav that we go ahead and do a valve job on this thing. So once again, I'm Chris with Chris's Tech Tips. I'm so glad you guys could tune in and follow me. Hopefully you guys learned something from this video. Leave me some comments and definitely smash that subscribe button on the link below and stay up to date to all my latest and greatest builds. All right, thanks for tuning in. I'm Chris. We'll catch you next time. Hi guys, welcome back to Chris's Tech Tips. Today we've got a 2000. Oh. Gotta pull that out.